This episode's brought to you by Liz Clark Astrology. No nonsense, personalized, honest handwritten readings that aim to be as constructive and helpful as possible. A glimpse into your true self, maybe even one you forgot about. Go to www.lizclark.com. You can also find the link in our show notes below. You've thought about joining a book club, but there's one problem. You're too busy, or buying books aren't in your budget, or some books aren't in the format that you can access, or you lose interest before you can finish, or maybe you have no interest in reading the book. Whatever the reason, there is a book club for that. Here at Book Interrupted, reading the book is not a prerequisite for joining the conversation. It's about connecting and celebrating life's interruptions. Join the community by following us on Facebook, or contact us through our website at www.bookinterrupted.com/fans. We'd love to hear from you. Parental guidance is recommended because this episode has mature topics and strong language. Here are some moments you can look forward to during this episode of Book Interrupted.
When I'm listening to our episodes, because we have such good conversation and I wanted to keep going.
Probably my favorite quotes. I mean, I can't remember a specific one. So it was when Kirsten Karchmer came on.
Basically everything Leah says, those are my favorite quotes.
It smells like my dad's old man fart or something. It's like, when did this happen?
Food, baby! Food!
Okay.
And then it felt like doing the podcast was going to impact us positively, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mind, body, and soul. Information is the goal. Try to learn something new without being distracted. Mind, body, and soul. Information is the goal. Try to learn something new without being disrupted. Mind, body, and soul. Inspiration is the goal. And we're gonna talk it out on Book Interrupted.
Welcome to Book Interrupted, a book club for busy people to connect and one that celebrates life's interruptions.
Hello and welcome to Book Interrupted. Today we will be covering the 2021 Season 1 recap. Let's see what we have in store, folks.
In good Meredith fashion, I was like, I can't remember things like the whole season. So I was like, I'm just going to cram and like on fast forward, watch all of our YouTube videos, but like kind of skip forward and stuff to see what we did.
Of course you did.
So I was like, locked myself in the room for a couple hours and did that. But I also thought like things might come up and I wrote down what episodes certain things happened so that it could help with like the show notes later.
Nicely done, Mare.
I'm such a nerd. I have 4 pages of like little notes that I take out. I was looking back. I feel like I looked so youthful at the beginning. It was like pre-pandemic we were recording. Yeah. And like, I was so carefree and whatever. So I feel like there's a lot of boob talk. If you look at the whole season, and there's also like some good quotes, try blowjobs, or like, do you remember that from the
Untamed?
Hi.
Or,
That should be the game. Name what book the quote came from.
Oh, good one, KJ.
Totally. I could make it. Yeah, I could like put it together. But yeah, maybe lots more sex stuff in the beginning. Remember, it was like, is it a sextet? You're like, and Leah's like, well, we've got options if we don't take off. Anyway, so I have
good
notes
job, Mare.
'cause
Wow.
I can't help but be me.
Okay, so first question is, what is your favorite memory or quote from our group discussions? Who would like to go first?
I'm not putting my hand up. I just sat like this for a second.
Okay, I don't know if this is a favorite one, but remember when we did Women Who Run with the Wolves and kind of like the wrap up at the end, because half of us were like, we cannot read this book. Like, there's no way. And then the other half was like, I'm going to read it 10 more times in my lifetime. Right. And there was a lot of tears during that episode. This is from the first episode, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And Kim wraps it up after many tears about, how it affected us. And she said, the magic of Women Who Run with the Wolves has been experienced by each one of us in a different way. And you didn't even have to read the book is the best part. Like the book itself is this magic little tool just by introducing it into our lives in varying degrees. It has like awoken ourselves. She wraps it up. And that's what she says. And we're like, yeah, because we're getting through it. And we're just like, some of us are like, I can't read it and I'm not going to read it. And then when we talk about it, we're like, oh, but it's helped all of us. So we don't have to read it. We just have to own it or whatever, or look at it or think about it.
That was true.
totally.
That's
It's to be in the house.
The magic of the book. And it was like nice to start that because when we started, and I think a lot of us were like, this is the book? Oh no. Because of the 6 weeks cycle, also reading the book, who's going to get through it? It was a nice book to start with too, because it had such an impact already. And then it felt like doing the podcast was going to impact us positively, which is nice.
You've
Yeah, good one.
just stirred up my memory, because I think also what you're touching on here is that, because I know personally, I was very worried that I wasn't going to finish the book. We had all received explicit instructions that you don't have to finish the book. However, in not finishing the book, I still felt fear that that wasn't a true instruction and it was going to be a problem, like, oh, not finishing the book. And so you're right, Mare, like it was the first time. The fact that it helped everyone anyway was cool, but also like it was the true permission, because I was so relieved when I found out that, I don't know, what, 50% of us, there was a good number of us, like as soon as someone else was like, me either, I was like, oh, like such a relief.
Oh, it's a safe space. Wonderful.
Yeah, totally. It really is a safe space.
This is the book club I've been waiting for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
The one that doesn't require me to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a perfect book club. Just really a club. Like, I don't remember anything, but what happens is my strategy was coming through this, other people would talk and then I would remember. So it's happening. I think that the blowjob thing that you were saying, Mara,
Yeah,
that was
I
some
agree.
good quotes there from Untamed. So that would be my short and sweet answer for this question.
Try blowjob.
I can't even
Try
choose
blowjobs.
one. Mine is like basically everything Leah says. Those are my favorite quotes. And it's really hard to choose a favorite from like ripped underwear to
I
like,
forgot the ripped underwear.
This one's for my grandma, and this is for my grandpa, and they're going to motorboat together in heaven.
I know, like all of it. It's all gold. But I think probably the one that like shocked me the most was during, we're back to Untamed again, is when Leah said that the author likes the smell of her own farts.
Leah.
Like honestly, there is like no, it's not like
Look at her face. Leah's like, oh, I said that.
oh my gosh. And like again, not meaning to be insulting to the author, but just as a way of explaining that your general impression that the author may indeed quite like herself and everything that she produces.
I think in the same breath, she also said that she was a great writer.
No, she did.
But
Yeah.
it was just that aside makes it funny.
I think she also said she likes her own farts too. Leah admitted, right? Isn't that true, Leah?
Well, I don't know, like, I don't think I like them.
Your own farts?
I don't think I like how they smell.
Depends on what you ate.
I'll confess, I like the way my farts smell.
Like, I don't know, they're a part of me.
They're a part of me,
They're a part of you.
so I accept them.
I don't hate them. I don't know. They're disgusting. I don't know. Have any of you gone through, like, I haven't had a major dietary change, but all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, all of a sudden I fart and it's like an old person smell fart.
That's just
Smells
because
like
you're
an
old now.
like it smells like my dad's old man fart or something. And it's like, when did this happen? I used to have like, I don't know, reasonable, and now it's like deadly. And nothing's changed. I was like, does stress cause you to change your fart smell?
it does. I think it does actually impact
Your
like,
microbiota
GI tract.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my GI tract's all fucked up.
Well, mine
Maybe
are
it is
really
a part
bad.
of aging.
Are they
So-
really bad just lately though, Lynn?
No, mine just because when I have, not all the time, but if I have dairy, they're bad.
Oh,
like
well, yeah.
poor Laird. If I was by accident, there's something like cow's milk or something in things,
Oh.
and then it's just bad.
Poor
It's-
Laird.
the poor guy. He's like, oh my God, get me out of here.
You're like, I know he really loves me.
He does. It's true.
That's funny. It makes me think of, when I was younger, I was lactose intolerant, but I wasn't diagnosed at first. So I would get really bloated whenever I had dairy, and I had it all the time because, growing up in the 80s, you just had milk with everything. And I remember I used to always say to my mom, being like, look, I have a food baby. But really, like, that was the sign. My stomach is bloated out like I'm pregnant. Maybe something's happening down there.
Can't all be food.
I know.
It can't all be poo.
It's not a poo baby. It's a
Yeah.
food baby.
Food baby. Poo.
Please.
Food.
Okay. I just said I heard food baby, but then when you were saying it can't all be poo, I thought you were saying like, after you have a food baby, you do have a poo baby. It's the natural progression of
I
things.
think saying I have a poo baby is a nice way of saying that you're constipated. I have a poo baby.
It's like the gentle term.
I think that might be my favorite quote now. If you don't have a food baby, then you have a poo baby.
Great, look at us making it.
can't
We
have
could
one
what we
without the
remember
other.
for the 2022 season recap.
Yeah,
What was the
probably,
recap?
probably my favorite quotes. I mean, I can't remember a specific one, so it was when Kirsten Karchmer came on for me because that was my book choice, and she just had so many interesting things to say and so much gems, and really shared with us and talked to each of us about things that we're going through. And so I wish I could remember one in particular, but that was probably my favorite of the quotes. Of
Maybe the favorite is like, why don't you tell me what's happening and I'll tell you
Yeah.
what can help. And everyone was like,
Yes.
really? Right now? You're going
I
to
know.
help
We were
me?"
all
I
like,
know.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
was
we all
really-
secretly wanted, right? We're like, I
Yeah,
want a
yeah.
personal session with
Really?
this author, and then she was like, I'll give it to you, and we were like,
Yeah. Well, I guess we could say the quote. It's not, but that's from the book. What it's
common,
It's
not normal.
common, not normal.
But isn't this
Yeah.
favorite moment or quote? So you can your whole
Moment, yeah.
Okay.
your whole thing
Kirsten,
is good.
all of
Don't need a
Kirsten,
quote.
yeah.
Great.
I like when she said she's best friends with us now.
Oh, yeah.
We want all
Like
of our
Kara
authors
was
to
going to
say
like
that.
jump out of her chair.
Oh my God.
Another best
Oh, be right there, Kirsten.
Okay.
I'll mail you half a heart in a locket.
Your half a heart locket is in the mail. Beefra.
Oh my God! I just thought you were gonna cut out your heart in my. I'm so tired, and I was thinking you meant you were gonna cut your heart out and give her half your heart, and I was like, oh, that's gross.
That might be a little far. Sometimes we go far too far.
She's a
but
very loyal friend.
No.
that might end the
Sorry.
friendship.
I don't know if that's a good step to take to build a friendship.
And not even just from being gross, it would be because Kara can't live with only a ventricle.
So she'd be dead, so there'd be no friendship. Yes. Nice.
Oh dear. I
No.
got
You know what
dark.
my favorite moment or quote is? It's also from Seeing Red, the book, is when Kim was telling her first period story, or the first time she used a tampon, and she's like, "This
Oh
can't
my
be
God.
right."
And she was in
in the wave pool.
perpendicularly. I think it was
Yeah, and she's
perpendicular.
like, and she said, and then I was in the wave pool, being like, "This can't be right."
That should be my "What happened to you" story.
In the meantime, her mom's telling all of the family that she got her period. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, that was my favorite moment. That whole moment.
Yeah, that was a good one. This can't be right.
Yeah.
Leah, did you have a favorite? Did Leah say?
Oh.
You didn't say.
No, she had, yeah.
I don't think I can't remember specific quotes particularly. I really enjoyed it wasn't a silly one, but when Squiggy was on, he's so like just well versed in the words department, and he like I love the whole stumble forward quote and just the way he like explained everything. Though I found it interesting how possibly because of the book or maybe because he's a male, I don't know, the dynamic in or maybe because it was our first fan, was very uncomfortable in the banter department. Did you guys notice that?
Yes.
The whole White Fragility. Usually when we start an
Crickets.
episode, everyone's like, I have something to say. I have something. Everyone's just like, you go first.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like the male dynamic or the topic of conversation wasn't as easy.
Topic?
But
I put it-
Topic.
I put it down to my implicit bias, right? Like that's the whole kind of thing that we were kind of learning in White Fragility, right? So I was very aware that he was a person of color, and then already super hypersensitive because we're doing White Fragility.
Mhm.
And then so to have him come on and it be that topic. So I was like full implicit bias, right? Like the secret racism that most people don't want to even own, right? Mine was full out. So I was trying really hard not to be like extra best friendy or, like the weird, that video with that girl doing that lady's hair, where she's saying all those things because she's trying to show how much she likes Asian
Yeah.
people or whatever she, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It
So
was Lily Singh.
yeah, so I felt
yeah.
that what you're, but what I wanted to add was I felt like Squiggy really made a safe space. Like that went away for me after speaking with him and talking to him, and all of the way you said he was so well spoken, like all of that, the way that he was
Not
able
just
to
well
keep,
spoken, but that whole concept around stumbling forward.
absolutely, it gave us permission to be
Camp encapsulated. That's my favorite quote. Like possibly of the just I just keep saying it to myself in all aspects of life because all I do is fucking fall over and eat shit a lot. So which is for hopefully in a forward motion.
right. So having someone say that that's okay because we all have these like secret perfectionism tendencies is just so freeing.
He also, like at the beginning of the episode, he kind of gave like a preamble that I think put everybody at ease when he did his intro. It was really good.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he
like he
just
explained
said,
his intentions.
Yeah.
yeah, and he said he wanted to be here to support us, but not to tell us what to do, like not to teach us. He's just there as a witness and to help, you know, which I liked.
I really appreciated like there was no hustle in him to keep a dialogue going. Like, you know how sometimes when you're talking with someone, especially if it's someone that you don't know very well, do you guys ever get this where you feel like you're like, fill up the empty like noise spaces, like just keep talking, blah, 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 blah. And I just really appreciated how there is such a centeredness and a self-confidence within him that it was like there was no rush.
Right.
I
Like
really
he could have
that.
a silence without it feeling awkward.
Yeah.
Right? There's awkward silence, and then there's sometimes you can just have silence conversation and you don't feel uneasy. That's
Yeah,
really
I really like that.
I feel like he's been like that. I mean, because I've known him for a while. That he's just that's his being. I feel so.
Oh,
Yeah, which I like. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why we became friends because I like to fill the silence and he doesn't. So it was kind of nice for me to be like, oh, maybe I should stop talking all the time. So
This interruption is brought to you by Unpublished. Do you want to know more about the members and Book Interrupted? Go behind the scenes? Visit our website at www.bookinterrupted.com.
Book interrupted.
My latest interruption was a happy and welcomed interruption. It was going on a date with the hubby. Oh my gosh, COVID has been so long and brutal in so many ways for so many different people. And like, wow, did my hubby and I kind of fall out of sync over COVID, just kind of being much more reactionary in the way that like we run our lives and the household and work and not really hitting pause. And wow, it was just so welcomed being able just to like go out with a person that I love and just hang. It was really kind of nice. It made me realize, wow, I did a great job choosing a hubby. Isn't it nice after 17 years that we can still find time to talk and not talk and just be?
Book interrupted.
Oh, here's a good one. Was there anything you wish you'd said recording, but you held back during the season?
Ooh, good one.
Put that question in.
Not me.
Leah or Lindsay?
Hmm.
Oh,
Leah.
yes.
Ooh.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have anything that I didn't say while recording that I can think of that I'm still like, wow, I wish I said that. But all the time when I'm listening to the episodes, I have more to say. Like I wish we could revisit the conversation again, and then I could be like, and this. So that's both frustrating and satisfying, right? Because obviously the conversation isn't ever over, but I do find myself feeling like I wish that I could rejoin it when I'm listening to our episodes, because we have such good conversation and I want it to keep going.
That one time I had to go early, it was Thanksgiving or something, and you guys all I listened to the episode later and you were talking about, I feel like it was socks or feet or cold feet or something like that. And I was like, damn it, I wish I was there for that conversation. I forget what it was about, but I just remember thinking, I think it was about feet.
Well, yeah, we were definitely talking about feet and going into bed with our husbands and touching them with our
Yes.
icy toes.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes.
right.
And so I was like, oh, I do that all the time. I want to be, so it was nice to kind of felt like being a listener, listening to the podcast for that short period of time, as opposed to being part of the conversation. So I'm hoping that maybe our listeners also feel like that when they're listening. Go, oh, that's me too. And, have some things to say.
I think for the cold feet, for sure. I think, I bet like tons of the population is going to be like, oh my God, me too. And if there's any husband listeners are probably like, yeah, like getting those cold feet on them.
I don't know. There's some things that maybe I didn't say, but I don't know if I want to say it.
She's still choosing not to say them. That's okay. She's like, yeah, there's tons, and I didn't say them for a reason.
Holding them back now.
Those are for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more so the opposite, probably like I do in life. I just make it all about, this is the Leah show and we're going to work on me. So I feel like I take too much of everyone's time, maybe.
Oh my God. I don't feel like
I don't
that.
feel that
I
way
want
at
some
all.
feedback.
Leah,
Okay.
no, because I do the show notes and you are the person that speaks the least out of all 6 of us.
Am
Or
I
that
really?
edited. I have a hard time finding quotes for you sometimes because you'll say 1 or 2 things, but oftentimes you don't speak as much as all the rest of us speak the most. Well, you probably speak the least, and then me, and then everybody else. So
That's so
Yeah.
odd. I perceive it so the opposite way. That's, well, good. Then fuck y'all.
Yeah, you can take up way more space now.
That and put it in
You can.
quotation marks.
Oh,
Is that, Sarah,
yes.
is that true to you? Because you do the pre-edit.
no, it's true to me too. Like
And me.
'cause
I'm not even editing anything. I know that's true.
Leah, do you have anything to add? Because you'll just be like, no, or whatever. There's a from the
Sometimes-
ashes. You're like, you guys said it all great, and then you'll say your thing.
Oh, I
Um,
think that for me, when it comes to speaking about the books, I'm self-conscious about, I don't know, my literary ability. So I tend to ride the coattails of what you guys, because I'm a late in life reader. I feel like I have I'm 10 years behind in my reading because I really couldn't read, honestly, till later because I think my brain was just busy doing other things. So I think my reading disability is affecting my confidence. And it's affecting my ability to talk about the books in a way. You guys articulate these concepts in like a really thoughtful way that I'm just like, huh? So I'm not sure.
When you're talking, that's not how I
No,
see it.
no.
So
At
if that
all.
helps,
Okay.
I don't know.
Good to
And I
know.
don't know if
I'm doing a good job faking it till I make it, guys. Is what that
I was
is.
just, I
That's
don't
my
know if this
way.
makes you feel better, but my
I don't
husband mentioned that when he listens to the show, he likes your comments the most.
Who did?
Mama do.
We should do a vote.
So you
to
tell
see who
Mama
the
Doo that I
favorite
like
member is.
everything about him.
Wow.
Just everything about him.
We should do a favorite member quote and poll and see who's last.
No,
that's horrible.
I always feel like that too, Mare, though. And then I'm like, no one will want to do that. And I'll feel bad if I am last. You know what I mean? But I always think
No.
it all the time. I'm like, wait,
Or if we just announce the winner, I think it would be Leah, though. I think everybody feels the same about Leah.
Absolutely.
I do. You're my favorite.
Yes.
No offense to anyone else.
Oh,
Mare's
that's
doing it
very
anyway.
kind.
Let's do a poll. No, I choose Leah.
Oh, thanks, guys. That's
Um,
nice. I think it's good that I held back when I did because my temper in my mind has been wild on some of these. I don't know if you guys can perceive it or not, but I held back. Thank God.
I would
Because
love
I
for you
would've
to let
gone
it flow.
off. Oh,
But she
no, you
doesn't want
don't.
to.
Yes, I do.
No, I don't. I need to keep that
If you
part
don't, yeah,
down
if
because
you don't
I'm
want
a-
to, then whatever.
like
But I
if I
welcome
get
it.
to no, you know what I really liked when we talked through the last game show and you didn't enjoy it, KJ, and my initial reaction inside my mind was like, fuck this shit, and we talked it through and I felt all the feelings about it, so that's good.
Yeah.
Because my inside my mind I was like, "Arrgh."
I mean,
growling.
sometimes it is good to take space so that you're responding and not reacting.
Yeah,
right?
so I think it's to answer the initial question. I think everything I've held back is good. I don't regret the holding back, anyways.
All right.
All right, so there.
Oh, this is an interesting one. What was the hardest part about this season for you?
I can go on this stage
Mm.
fright,
Mhm.
not just with you guys, like every personal journal, I just like start sweating. I don't know. I have stage fright. I did a play in university once and I was like on stage, I'm like, why am I here? And then after that, I was like, I can do helping in the background. Like, why would I do that? It was like, it's like I learned.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
That's my little T. Yeah, totally. I was like, I hate being on the stage. So I think that was hard. It's definitely gotten easier. Like I'm definitely less sweaty than I was a year ago doing this. And also winter or when it's like really cold out, Dan figuring out what to do with the kids. Where do you take them during COVID times when everything is shut down? Sundays, the pool isn't open at this time of day on Sundays. So
yeah,
you gotta be able-
resounding
yeah.
scheduling has been probably the hardest part. And the other hardest part is because I've done a lot of emotional work just by happenstance at the same time as this started and has gone, just like that. I can't Sunday. I really realized how Sunday is the day that it all comes out, because I have to keep together from Monday to Saturday to do all the parts of life. And Sunday is like, I can't hold it all together anymore. So a lot of it lands on these podcasts of me just crying. And it has nothing even to do with what we're talking about. I'm just a fucking mess.
I respect that you feel that way. I appreciate your presentation of your experience. But again, I'm like, we don't, for me anyways, that's not my experience of you.
Yeah, I don't
And
find
if
it
it
messy.
was what you were, if that is the truth or whatever too, then that's perfect, because that's all we want is real you. And if real you on Sundays is crying, then
Yeah, mostly is. I think maybe it's like that day that's just it all comes out for me. I can't keep anything in, so it eventually comes out, and it usually comes out of my eyeballs. So that's been my hardest part, is the feeling really vulnerable and exhausted, and then being on camera.
Like, you're going to be feeling vulnerable, and we're going to put all these lights on you.
Yeah, and then setting up, and then trying to be present when my mind is really absent.
Let's get a good microphone so we can pick up all those
Yeah,
songs.
pick up the sounds of
little leaps.
just like
That sounded more sexy than.
Oh no! Okay, what would it be like? Just like my inner voice, little Lee is like, "Help me." Overwhelmed. Yeah.
We all know what mine is. Live draws.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Live, everything we do here, I don't feel nervous or anything because I do all the editing. I'm not worried because if something goes astray, I just cut it out, right? But live draws, I totally freak out. I can't think. I can't work them. It's the worst. Yeah, so I find that the hardest.
So tune in to our next live draw where Sarah freaks out again.
Mine was definitely reading self-help.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Hard.
I would never, most of these books I would never choose to read on my own. I'm doing this because I love you all and I want to do this with you, but whoa, that's been hard for me. And being on time. Sorry. That's my other thing. But reading these books, I would rather choose to read something fiction and, something than these. But I have learned a ton from them. So, it's good. It's good for me.
Yeah, it's starting to catch up with me too. And I'm choosing the worst one.
you found this
this next season.
Remember the size of Sapiens? It was like this. We had to cut it in half.
Oh, what is my problem? I choose the fucking worst. It's either a fucking
Dictionary.
Bible, or now this one's here, everybody get undressed. Talk about your emotions in public. Fucking rereading this book because I'd read it before. I'm like, I forgot. It's so intense. These poor little kids. Oh my God. What's wrong with me?
Maybe you want us to participate in your Sunday emotion.
Yeah, everybody. It's just
here, take that.
Book interrupted, but my book's interrupted just with wet pages. It's like I've lost so many books this way.
Yeah, for me, I think the hardest part is just keeping up with, I think so highly of you guys, especially of your level of intelligence and how you all have really strong, interesting opinions and points of view. So the hardest part has been just keeping up. I'm such a slow reader, ridiculously slow. And I've never given myself the challenge of trying to read a book within a certain time frame. So even though it's weeks that we have to do these books, I'm that's a lot of reading, you know, it like feels like in the fast lane. So I'd say that's probably the most challenging. And also just like inviting I'm such a perpetual people pleaser, especially in formats that involve any type of performance. So it's just been like real uncomfortable, like just freaking watching myself be like, wow, how about you have a non-opinion again? How about you be like uber not clear or specific? So just like having to freaking witness myself go through all those like shenanigans and be like, could you maybe not be pleasing, nice, Kara, for once? You know, that's been a bit rough, like just putting up with myself. But it's a great like learning experience, you know, like these are good things to try and get through some wonderful books within a reasonable time frame, because I'm so my father's daughter. I'm like, just gonna lollygag, you know. It's been worth it, but certainly challenging.
This is part of the reason we're going to 7 weeks, because 6 weeks for some of these books is tough to do. Reading the books is not the only thing people are doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to like apply a 4% fix just to get your book.
There you go.
To read the book. Yeah.
Kim, what was
So
your
can
hard
you?
thing?
I can't, it's hard for me to think of one. The hardest thing for me to do is to think of my hardest thing.
I know
Oh,
what
no,
the
yours,
hardest
sir.
thing is.
Yours,
Well,
the
wait,
blog.
I'm-
The
wait.
blog. The blog.
Oh, well,
question.
yeah. I mean, well, isn't that everybody's hardest thing? Like, isn't that like I didn't
No.
feel like that was personally. Well, when I read the blog answers, I'm like, oh, I did this pretty good. When other people are like water and they like just put one letter, like word, I still am thinking about it and applying all this effort and trying to make it still good while I hate doing it. Seeing it on the other side, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good answer. Like, and I try to be funny and like, whatever. Right. Sometimes I just put my one word answer too by like blog question 25. I'm like, I'm over this. And I'll just say my one thing. But I find knowing, and this has been corrected, so hopefully it won't be my biggest thing for 2022, but I find knowing what we're doing, when we're doing it, and like what's due and when this is running out, or all of the like mechanics of bringing it to the finished product on Monday, I sometimes have a hard time. Is there something wrong?
I don't know. I'm just like, why is Leah giggling?
Yeah, like
Leah's
everybody's
muted.
laughing and I'm like, I
Oh
don't.
no! Sorry, I forgot I was on mute because my headphones died. I'm laughing because I think it's so funny because I love it. Because you always ask the questions, and I'm like, I'm so glad that you forget everything because you asked. It was like, oh yeah, we have to have that dude, because you ask because you never remember anything.
Nothing.
And I love
Like I
it.
have no idea. And I'm like, what? We're doing that? We're starting it this time? And I like,
Yeah, it's
I knew
Every
at one
daylight
point all of
savings.
the answers.
Every time
Yeah.
the clock changes.
And I
Actually,
wonder-
that's my other hard thing, the time change, because we don't have a time change here. So I think everything's hunky dory. And I'm like, shit, you're changing your time again. Damn it.
Yeah. And like
miss
I
it every
was
time.
originally upset that it was super early. And then one day it was an hour later and that made me mad. So it doesn't matter what time it is, I'm just mad. But this is like at least the second or third time I found out something from our group of people about how they perceive themselves. And that's interesting to me because it's so, and I mean, I guess on some level, you know, but until someone shares like their inside experience, you don't know, you only know your experience of yourself and you're not sure if everybody's the same or whatever. But I just find it so interesting how other members perceive themselves in the group and how it differs from how I perceive them. So I just think that's really cool and interesting. Not on this
I
question
agree.
or topic.
This is
but-
like a precursor to Sarah's book for next season, I think. The Talking to Strangers.
Strangers.
How, like,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
good.
but even that, like,
Yeah.
you don't really know what's going on in someone's head.
Yeah.
Right? Especially like anxiety is like what Kim's talking about. I see the same thing. It's like we all like our hardest parts are surrounded around our like insecurities in some cases, right? Or like
Mhm.
anxieties. Those are the things you don't always share with people because that's your like soft underbelly. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
That's
like,
the problem is I keep sharing them and I don't know why.
That's probably why you're everybody's favorite.
Oh, you
Mhm.
guys are making me feel so great.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Book Interrupted. If you'd like to see the video highlights from this episode, please go to our YouTube channel, Book Interrupted. You can also find our videos on www.bookinterrupted.com.
Hey listeners, Book Interrupted just wants to thank you for joining us for our 2021 season. We really appreciate being able to connect with each and every one of you over our podcast platform. And don't forget to join us January 3rd for next season, where we're introducing a new segment called Off the Shelf. It bookends each of our book cycles with some really unique content. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, on Book Interrupted.
Moments you can look forward to on next week's Book Interrupted.
Because we've talked about it so much with each other, then it's easier to have these conversations with other people.
Similar to how the playlists beautifully go together, so do our book choices.
There's something in there from every book that I feel I've taken in and brought with me.
So I'm combining work, books, and my best friends. Like, it's kind of perfect.
Literally convinced of it. I was like, no one will give me their tears.
And then breastfeed children while climbing mountains.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everyone
me too.
wants
Yeah,
Jesse Pistol.
resounding.
Yeah, me too.
Jessie Pistol. Yes.
Book interrupted.
Never forget, every child matters.